There he is.
What's going on?
What's up, sir? You good? Welcome to Springfield.
Thank you so much for having me,
You
bro.
good?
This is the restaurant.
Yeah.
This restaurant been open for a year.
Very excited to try some of the cuisine.
This
Hello.
is Rutshelle.
How are you?
Haiti's biggest star.
So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcome to Springfield. I'm happy we're doing this song together. It really came out great. You sound beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So she's one of the biggest stars from the country in the Caribbean right now.
Amazing.
It was a perfect fit. Like I knew that this
I'm
was.
so happy. I told him, I was like, I want to make sure we have a vocalist, from Haiti. So let's do it.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
It's a dream for her as well. It's a dream, yeah.
All right.
Got
Shall
some
we
food.
sit?
Let's do it. This is our table right here.
All right, cool. Welcome to Springfield.
Thank you for having me.
This is your first visit?
First visit in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to Columbus, took the drive over. It's been cool. We came to the restaurant first, so getting to see where you're, born and grew up.
Yeah.
Got to meet your parents too.
Yeah, so my
Yeah.
mom's here, my
Yeah.
stepdad, my sister are here. My younger brother lives here still. The church where I grew up is right around the corner from here.
Amazing.
We actually rent out the building to Haitian community church groups.
No way. Wow.
And so they're able to have services in Creole at my church that I grew up in.
Incredible.
And so I've been hearing about the Haitians having moved here for a while because my uncle was telling me they were renting out the sanctuary, and my family just were like, yeah, there's like 10,000
New Haitians
or more new
there,
Haitians in the community. I was like, oh wow, how did that happen?
Yeah.
But we were shrinking for so long,
Yeah.
and we were losing jobs. People, when they graduated from high school, they would leave town.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't a lot of opportunity for people. We peaked at around 80,000 people when we were booming, manufacturing was booming and everything.
Yeah.
And by the time, a few years ago, we had shrunken to like 58,000 people.
Yeah.
So what this story is to me is a turnaround story. It's a growth story. The community is thriving, and there's a new energy in the community. And it made it attractive for people who were looking for a better life and for opportunity. And that's why we had so many Haitians come to visit here.
That's so incredible. And I think that just your experience in this city to me is like, I love the fact that you spoke up in the way you did. Mm-hmm. I found out that you lived in Springfield through this whole situation.
Yeah.
And it was really meaningful. Like I remember when I texted you about everything going on in the city, and I was just like, thank you for speaking up and doing that. Mm-hmm. You responded to me and you said it's the right thing to do.
Of course, and I feel like a lot of times there's a lot of heat, but not a lot of light.
Yeah.
And the way that former President Trump talked about it, the way J.D. Vance was talking about it, they brought a lot of heat and like animosity and divisiveness to the conversation.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring some light. And you notice when I did my Instagram video, like I was calm, I was in my robe, I was in my hotel room.
No anger.
And I was just like, let's have a honest conversation about what's actually happening. And I had spoken to my family members, I've spoken to the community leaders, and got a sense of what was really going on here.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is a turnaround story.
Yeah.
This is a growth story.
Yeah.
There are all these new job opportunities here.
Yeah.
And so it made Springfield an attractive place for people to come and live and build their families. And like I said, this literally is the American dream. This is what people have come to this country for centuries now.
Yeah.
And so we shouldn't run from that. We should embrace that.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be, like I said, there's always going to be growing pains and adjustments that people got to make. And whenever there's a first generation coming to the community, like this community has a lot of German descendants, Irish descendants, like all of them were new at some point.
Of course.
And they were all discriminated against.
And they had to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, and they were all discriminated against when they came. And I just want everybody to remember that history and context. Every time we've had these new immigrant groups come, they've contributed to our country. And immigrants come here because they have a dream.
Yeah.
They come here, they want to work,
Yeah.
they want to contribute, they want to have a better life for them and their families. So they're like the best, folks to come in, because like that extra drive and ambition and
better.
energy they bring to the country is good, and it's what keeps America renewing
Yeah.
and thriving, and our economy is the envy of the world, partly because we keep having this new energy come into it. And so I just feel like we've got to embrace it.
Yeah, I think that everything you just touched on is so important. And personally, in my life, I'm actually an immigrant to the U.S. I was born in Haiti, raised in Haiti.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Port-au-Prince.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I lived in Haiti until I was 16, and then I went to military school in Indiana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was
your first experience in America was at a military school.
Snow,
was it tough?
Military school. It was tough, but it was a leadership process, yeah.
So you had some weather
I had some
differences.
It was some differences. I had to learn. Living in the States, it was new to me. And
did you speak English when you came here?
I spoke English because my mom is Guyanese.
Oh, okay.
So my mom's Guyanese, my dad is Haitian.
Got it.
And so we spoke English in the house. I went to school in French.
I've never been to Haiti. I've been to Guyana, but I haven't been to Haiti.
We'll do the trip to Haiti.
Yeah.
You have to come and visit.
Yeah.
But I think that what you were talking about, right? Like in terms of so many immigrants, like Haitians, but also all the different immigrants that make up what the U.S. is, right? They come here sometimes by choice, but a lot of times not by choice.
Absolutely.
And when they arrive here, what they want to do is make the best life they possibly can.
Absolutely.
They want to be good citizens. They want to have a light for the world.
Yeah.
And I think even this restaurant right now, right? Like this is an immigrant success story.
Yeah.
To be able to come here, open a restaurant a year ago. And
it's good for the city.
It's great for the city. You get diversity.
Add some flavor to the city. Like we
diversity.
needed some different foods here, you know?
And I think it brings down, honestly, like in my experience, food to me has been a doorway into understanding people different than me.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you get to taste something delicious you maybe never had before.
Yes. And
music is the same way too.
You learn the history of a culture in some ways through the food.
Yeah.
You learn about the different interactions their cultures have with other cultures and how that kind of manifested in the cuisine.
Yeah.
And so I love it. And I've been traveling a lot lately. So I've been trying cuisine all over the world. I spent some time in Asia a few weeks ago. And I'm one of those people that will try just about
anything.
Food.
Yeah, good. We're going to try.
I'm not allergic to anything. So I'll try everything. I've eaten, crickets in Thailand.
Yeah. Oh, you did? You actually did? How was it? It's protein.
It was crunchy. Yeah. The thing is, if you season anything right,
it's gonna be fine.
It can be all right.
Yeah.
But it's all about the consistency.
Yeah. I think Haitian food is one of the best cuisines in the world. So I feel like what we're going to taste today is a bunch of really interesting things.
So what would you say are some signature dishes from Haiti?
Some of the signature, for me personally, I feel like the dish of Haiti is soup Joumou, and that's a squash soup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna see maybe a little bit of that later today. Banan pesé, which is like fried plantain, deep fried plantain. Griot, fried pork. Rice and beans. Fritay, which is like a bunch of different types of fried foods. Some of them made from traditional roots that we have in Haiti, like malanga. Yeah, we're gonna see. There might be some surprises.
I wonder, do you have any sense of how connected it is to West African cuisine?
Huge,
yeah,
huge. A lot of the roots that we cook with, and a lot of the herbs and the spices, they're actually a fusion of West African influences and indigenous influences. So the indigenous people in Haiti were the Taino.
Yeah.
And the Taino people were there for generations before. And so what's really unique about, this is such an amazing fact, I didn't even know this until recently. The Taino were the first recorded group of people who barbecued.
Oh, wow.
So the barbecue,
the birthplace of barbecue
was on Hispaniola on the island of Haiti. So that's just a fun fact for...
that's wild. That's a good fact to know.
Yeah, and that became, that from Haiti ended up going to Europe and to different parts of the world. And I think that Haiti has a lot of really unique influences, which is what makes it such a
so cool.
Special place.
And Haiti shares the island with the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
So a lot of the Dominicans are Taino descent as well, right?
It's all merged. And even on the West African side, all of the slaves that were brought from the entire era of colonization were the same people. The island is a mixture of all kinds of different people.
Is there any sense of where in West Africa most of the Haitians came from?
A lot of people from Ghana, from Benin, and even some from Ivory Coast. At that point, the countries weren't delineated yet. There were tribes. But it's all that.
Well, it's very similar in the States. Almost the same countries. Whenever we do our little genetic mapping and stuff, we're almost always like that same area.
Yeah. Nigeria too.
Yeah, Nigeria.
I went to Benin and Ghana earlier this year. So I got to visit, and when I was there, actually, for a second, I thought I was in Haiti. So I was speaking Creole to people, and I'm like, wait, no, we're in
I guess
Benin.
if you went to like Senegal and some of the French-speaking countries, they would understand
The
Creole.
French and Creole is close enough that you can get by, and the flavors are very similar.
Yeah.
Great food.
Yeah,
It was great food there. Question for you actually about Springfield.
Yeah.
What, if any, was like the memory of you wanting to become an artist?
Well, like I said, I grew up in a church that was right around the corner from where we are right now.
Yeah.
And my family was like the church, basically. My grandfather was the pastor, and then when he retired, my uncle, my mom's older brother, took over. And then my mother directed the choir, and her mother, my grandmother, was the church organist. So I just grew up around people making music, and they were making gospel music. So my original foundation was in gospel music.
Of course,
And so I wanted to sing from a very young age. I would go to choir rehearsal with my mother, and she'd be leading the choir, and my grandmother would be playing the organ, my dad would be on the drums. And I was just like, I want to be a part of this. I want to sing. Let me sing. So they let me join the choir when I was 7, but I had already been taking piano lessons. I took classical piano lessons at a music store that was close to my home.
And this is all in the neighborhood?
Well, my home is like 15 minutes from here, east side. We're on the south side, but my church is right here. So my music class was near my home on the east side, and then my grandmother, she would teach me gospel music as well. And so I was always getting both. I was getting the classical training and the gospel training.
That's such a good combo.
And so that started at a young age, and I just never stopped playing after that. I just kept getting better and better. And then my grandmother died when I was pretty young. And eventually it meant I had to take over the music at the church. Because we weren't a huge church.
Wait, how old were you at that point?
I was like 11, 12 years old.
You took over the music for the entire church?
I was like 12, And this is when I'm about to go into high school. My parents got divorced, and my mom wasn't able to lead the choir anymore. So I was basically like taking over for both the jobs that my mom and my grandmother were doing when I was 12 years old.
And it felt natural?
No, not at first. You know, it took a little bit, but I was able to grow a lot and take on that responsibility. And I really think it just made me a better artist and musician, because I think whenever I just saw Jermaine Dupri post something about how we're losing something by a lot of our young people not being in church. Because so many of our musicians that we grew up on were raised in church, and it gave all of them the opportunity to like develop their chops.
Of course, because you're performing every day.
Every week you're like literally on stage, like even though you don't call it a stage, like you're performing in front of people. Performing is different than practicing. It forces you to get it ready. It forces you to practice. It forces you to have finished product that's ready to go out to the audience.
Of course,
And so having that experience of continually having to prepare for a finished product every week.
You get so honed in what
it
you're
just
doing.
develops you as a performer, as a musician, as an arranger, just everything that you would need to be like a really successful artist, producer. Like it gives you a lot of those tools you would need.
Of course.
And so the fact that people don't go to church as much and don't play in church as much, I think it is hurting, you know,
the development of the artistry.
The musical chops of this younger generation.
It's so interesting because I feel like Haitian culture is very much improvisational. So a lot of Haitian, just anybody that you meet and when you're in the country, they can do something. So it's either drumming, beatboxing, singing, rapping, play any instrument. They can figure it out, and I feel like there's a sense of performance in the culture that's just innate. So it's, I think there's a lot in common with the church.
And it doesn't have to be the church, but it needs to be somewhere where you are able to like develop your chops.
Of course.
And so for me it was the church. For some people it might be like just being around a bunch of other musicians. And some schools still have music programs, which we need more of. But one way or another, you need that laboratory
of course.
to like develop
that. And I heard also you were in an a cappella group.
I was in an a cappella group at Penn. I ended up directing it. So having that classical side too helped me be able to like arrange and write the notes out and all that stuff.
So after military school, I ended up being pre-med in college. So I thought I was gonna become a doctor. And then music was a hobby. I was DJing for fun, producing for fun. And eventually one day it just took off, and I had at that time it was like SoundCloud. So I had a couple things on SoundCloud that ended up getting me in front of a lot of artists that I really admired.
Nice.
And started touring all around the world. So I started touring at 18 or 19 at that point, and performed a lot of big DJs at that point.
That's wild.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 32 now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When you think about how you make music? Because DJs, it's such a collaborative
Of course.
space. How do you think about like who you want to collaborate with?
Yeah. I honestly look at it like I'm connecting parts of the world.
Yeah.
So in everything that I create, even when I used to make early mashups and DJing and stuff, I was taking songs from different parts of the world and fusing them and finding the similarities between the two.
Yeah.
So in terms of collaboration, I'm always thinking about it. Who's the parallel person or the parallel energy to what this person's already doing in their world, in their space? And sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's like not obvious at all.
And it's fun to bring those things together because it really shows you how connected we are.
Absolutely.
As humans, and then how music is able to like make that connection very clear. Like, we have so much in common, even with our music. Even though different countries have different cultures and styles, there's so many ways where they feel like they can come together.
They bring us together.
Yeah.
I think it brings the walls down. It brings the kinds of separation. And to me, the two most exciting parts of culture are food and music.
Yeah.
Because they just get
We get to experience both today.
Yeah, we're gonna get a little bit of both. So actually, have you had Haitian food before?
I have not. Not that I can recall, because I've never been to Haiti.
Yeah.
I guess the closest thing would be like Creole food in New Orleans or something like that.
All right.
But I imagine it's still quite a bit different.
There's actually a lot more similarities than you realize. Yeah. Right now we're in Rose Goûter restaurant, and they opened a year ago. So I got to meet Rose, and I got to meet the team, and they prepared a spread for us. We have a lot of different things.
So what was Rose's story of finding her way to Springfield?
Yeah, when she opened it last year, she said that the outpouring of love was so amazing, and it's been such an amazing success story for the city too.
Now, are there other Haitian restaurants in town?
There are more.
Okay.
Yeah, I found out there's a couple more. This one's probably the biggest at this point, but the food, there's different types of food for Haitian restaurants, right? So some are more like cafe, pâtisserie, kind of like a French bakery type of vibe.
Okay.
And then some are more like meals, plates, different kinds of dishes. We're gonna have a bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I'm excited.
All right, let's see what food we got. And this is Harriet from the restaurant as well.
Hi, Harriet. How are you? Thank you. This looks good.
So, qui pâte ça? Pâte girl, pâte cordée. So this is a traditional dish in Haiti. You can find any street corner, and it has island salt in it, which is a type of fish.
Okay.
So dig in.
So it kind of looks like if you're in Jamaica.
Yeah, actually like the patties.
Yeah, like the patties there.
The different meats.
I'm into it. Oh, that's really good.
There's a few different variations of this specific pate, but this is one of the very typical meals that you would find as a snack throughout the day.
I like it with fish.
Yeah.
Because the Jamaican ones I've had usually been like beef or, I think, chicken.
And sometimes they use something, escovitch, that's like another type of fish.
Oh, escovitch, yeah.
So there's a few different variations. In the English-speaking Caribbean, there's certain meals that are very common. French-speaking Caribbean has its own thing.
Yeah.
Spanish-speaking Caribbean, it's just a melting pot.
Oh, this
Thank
looks
you so
good.
much.
So everything's fried.
Everything's fried.
Yeah.
Beautiful. The camera's got to eat first.
Yeah, they do. Every time. This is what you would call a Fritay plate. So Fritay is fried foods, a bunch of different fried foods. Just like the pate cordée, there would be a section in the street corner where they would just be frying different kinds of dishes, and these are all the traditional Haitian dishes. This meal right here, almost everything is made with épices, and épices is like the Haitian spice blend. And you would take a little bit of griot and some pickles, and you take it as a bite.
Yeah. That's a good combo.
You got some of the spicy,
That pork
vinegary.
is amazing.
The pork is one of the best things. This right here, with some rum, her beer. So the next round of dishes, there's a lot of history behind them.
This with some rum.
Yeah, you already know. I wish we had some Barbancourt. Barbancourt is our big national rum.
Oh, okay.
In Haiti, yeah. We'll see, maybe we can find some. It's fresh squeezed too.
It's delicious.
So passion fruit, plentiful in Haiti.
Yeah.
Delicious fruit. We have amazing
Oh,
mangoes
it's so
too.
good.
Yeah.
It's like refreshing, sweet.
Yeah. So you brought up New Orleans a few times actually, and that was something that I think a lot of people maybe don't realize is how big of a connection there is between New Orleans, the African American community in New Orleans, the Caribbean community in Haiti, the Afro-Caribbean community in Cuba. Not only with the food, but also with the music.
Yeah.
With jazz and merengue and so many things that were happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I really believe New Orleans is the most special city in America because its culture is so unique.
Yeah.
And it's because of that intersection
Yeah.
of so many things. It just makes it the most like interesting cultural gumbo.
Yeah, Jen, you couldn't put it better. Yeah. Like, it really is a gumbo. In terms of the Haitian history side of it, when Haiti got its independence, it's the second country after the United States in 1804 to gain their independence in the entire Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
So it was through revolution and once oh, you know the story, you know, So when they got their independence, the consequence of that for France was that France had to sell all of the territory that they had in the United States.
Yes, the
which was the
Louisiana Purchase.
Yes.
The Louisiana Purchase, but also the consequence for Haiti was pretty extreme.
Oh,
like
massive.
The West cracked
Taxes
down on them
and tariffs. And
I feel like not enough people
massive.
realize that Haiti's really still paying for having won their independence so early. The rest of the West wanted to punish them. And set an example, like, if you do this, like, this is what's going to happen to you.
Yeah,
and they really been, like, screwing Haitians in so many ways since then.
Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of the historical significance of that revolution is downplayed in modern history, even in terms of the flags of so many countries within South America, right? In Colombia and Venezuela, and all of these freedom fights that happen, right, to gain independence. Good thing we're talking about freedom because this is a very important dish about freedom. So when all of that happened, Haiti's flag, the red and blue flag, is the base of all of these other flags in the region. And it was because Haitians, once we gained our independence, sent soldiers, sent arms, support, money to all these other nations.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
Yeah, there's a big connection. And this dish right here, this is soup Joumou. So remember when you had asked about what's the dish in Haiti? This is made from squash.
Okay.
And this, the significance of this is, at the time, the enslaved people of Haiti, when the French were literally colonizing everything in the country, were picking squash and were not allowed to eat it.
Oh, wow.
And so when the revolution happened, Haitians ate squash soup, this exact soup, the entire day.
Oh, so this is like
this is the freedom soup.
The soup of freedom.
This is the soup of freedom.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Is it vegetarian?
Sometimes you can put meat in it. I see here they put a couple different vegetables, some of the meat, noodles.
There's a little meat, it's very good.
Yeah. But this, we celebrate this January 1st, every single year. You have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's kind of like a curry, the broth.
It has elements of a stew. The squash is a really thicker base for the soup.
I love the potato in it.
Oh, yeah. But this right here is so symbolic for the Haitian people. And I think this is like probably the most regional specific dish. Like in Haiti, you will only find this in Haiti.
Yeah, I've never had it. Never seen it anywhere else. Deep flavor. I love a stew.
Oh, yeah. Same.
I just love slow cooking anything.
Yeah.
This stew is amazing.
No, it's so good. It's so good. This is like one of my favorite Haitian meals.
It's a good freedom food.
Right?
I'm with it.
It's hearty. You can tell it has history in it. You take every bite.
Yeah.
There's something to it. I was so happy they made this special for us today.
Oh, okay. So it's not on the menu normally?
This is normally...
It's like a special meal?
Yeah, it's a special thing. So so shout out to Rose again for...
So it's almost like a Thanksgiving meal,
kind of. It's a bit like, except January 1st.
Yeah. That's so interesting. So on New Year's Day.
Yep.
And that day was the
Freedom Day,
Liberation Day.
Revolution Day,
Wow.
So I think it really does feel like renewal every year.
That's amazing.
Because when we hit that day, we just...
That's why you don't have it in a restaurant every day.
No.
Like, you gotta, it's like, this is a moment.
Save it for a moment. You save it definitely for a moment.
Yeah, that makes sense. My first interaction with Haitian immigrants and Haitian Americans was in college. So some of my good friends are Haitian. One of my good friends, Rob, we used to sing together, write together. Yeah. He and I were texting back and forth after
everything happened. Yeah.
After everything happened at the debate. And I was like, yeah, I feel like I need to say something.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, man, please say something.
Shout out Rob.
And you know, Rob really encouraged me to say something. And like, after I texted with him, that's when I started like thinking about my Instagram video and everything, and I talked to people back home.
Yeah.
I really wanted to like represent what was really going on and put some truth to the situation.
Yeah.
So
I think that was so impactful, and that
thank you.
just the fact that we had been working on music and,
Yeah.
and the connection with
And what
Haiti
people
and
might not
love.
know is we had already been working on it.
We had.
And you had the video evidence.
So we had that, and I
Yeah.
think like it was such a, for me it's, you know, everything that you've accomplished in your career, and also I think you as an artist being such an advocate, you're one of the most present artists that I know that really speaks up for the community, not just for the Haitian community, which is, you know, we're so grateful for that, but I think also in general you're just truly, you mean everything you say, you work really hard for you.
Well, what I talk about a lot is love and humanity, in the sense that we're all valuable.
Yeah.
And just because someone comes from a different country,
Yeah.
speaks a different language, we shouldn't value their lives any more
Yeah.
or less. And I feel like so many of our problems, like globally, would be solved if we learned how to love each
A little
other.
bit more, yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds corny, but like
Yeah.
that's really the secret to us having peace
Yeah.
and harmony and growth and all the things we need, is that sense of like respecting and valuing each other's humanity and loving people that don't look like us and don't come from the same place. Like, it makes it so much better for everybody if we approach every situation with that mentality.
Yeah, I feel like we really share that view. And I also think like in particular with the experience of immigrants in this country, it's so important to have moments of being seen, of being heard, the voices are uplifted.
Yeah.
Because I think even in the context, so right now we're having these meals, right? This is legume, by the way. This
Okay.
is another very traditional, famous dish in Haiti with some riz John John. That's mushroom rice.
Okay.
But, I'm gonna take a second.
Is that like a short rib up top?
Yep, they put some meat in it,
Amazing.
different vegetables too. Some of that épice I mentioned.
Oh, it's amazing.
But I think when you uplift the voices of different people and with love, right, with honesty, with authenticity, what comes from that is connection, genuine connection, and it breaks down the walls.
Absolutely.
And it also breaks down misinformation.
Absolutely.
And I think that when people just are able to speak their truth and we can just listen and be present, it just makes the society, the fabric of society so much tighter.
And that's really what we as artists and storytellers need to be able to do, is like break down those walls in different ways. We can do it through music, but we can also do it through what we're doing right now, like documentary filmmaking and storytelling. It just helps people see each other as human beings and like break down all the stereotypes. And with misinformation, you know, it's quite a time because, you know, the internet, it is amazing in the sense that it allows everyone to have a voice, but like we all have to be better information consumers too, because you have to be able to have critical thinking to understand what's true, what's fact-checked, what's got real journalism behind it, and
pushing a narrative versus
versus what's biased, what's just completely false. Some stuff out here is just like literally
like
completely made up. And then even the stuff like the eating the cats and the dogs that they were talking about, like it was a lie that kept growing like in the telephone game.
And was debunked so many times.
And it kept debunking.
Including the original person that said
and
it.
the original person was like, oh no, actually I found my cat. But it had already traveled around the world like so many times. And people need to be like a little more skeptical, particularly about rumors that aren't backed by real journalism and real fact checking. And we've got to like, we've got to be discerning when it comes to information we allow into our lives, because they'll have you all over the place. And a lot of it's to scare people, you know. Fear is such a powerful force, and it can be the death knell of like real like society. Because if everyone's living in fear, then their adrenaline is up, their fight or flight, they're not thinking rationally. And it causes people to do some things that aren't good for them or good for the community.
And I think that's why you speaking up in the way you did was so meaningful, because that was true allyship. You did it as I mentioned, right? Like you said, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You had that conversation with Rob. It came up. You did the research. You checked in with your family. You saw everything that was going on in your town, and you made a very calm and specific statement about the positives that have come from this. And I think that the way you approached it, I know I told you thank you before, but I wanted to make sure, like, for this situation, this conversation we're having right now.
Truly.
Thank you so much for that, because
I appreciate you saying thank you, but also I felt like, of course I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Of course I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a unique position to say this. Like, being from Springfield, having a platform with, 16 million followers, and being politically, like, tapped in and aware of what's happening. Like, I was in a unique position to, like, weigh in, and I felt like I had to do it.
It was amazing. And I have a question just more broad, but do you feel like artists in general should be advocates? Should they speak up?
Yes, but be humble, like, do the work of, like, learning about what you're talking about.
The research and everything.
And just because you have a platform doesn't mean you know what you're talking about.
Of course, yeah.
I didn't feel confident doing that until I, like, talked to people about what was going on.
Yeah.
And you notice, like, I was saying things that were, like, factual to, like, clear up, like, misunderstandings, give people history and context of what was happening. And if you don't know that, then maybe you shouldn't weigh in. And so I just feel like if we're going to weigh in, make sure we do the work, make sure we talk to people who are, like, on the ground doing the work. My charitable work, a lot of it's around justice and changing our criminal legal system, decarcerating, and all the different interactions our communities have with the police and with the criminal legal system. But I don't come out and say stuff unless we've talked to a bunch of activists, not just research on the internet, but like actually talk to people
with the community
who are affected and see what their priorities are, see what they care about, help them inform me on what I'm talking about, and then I go out and say stuff. And so I just want artists, like, if they're going to be engaged, to, like, at least be humble enough to listen first, and then use your platform to amplify the voices of people who know what they're talking about.
And I know that you tapped in with the Haitian leaders in this community as this was going on as well.
And we, since I posted that, I've done more. Like, I had a Zoom with the city leaders and the Haitian community leader, community organization leader. And then we've done things to donate to some of the service providers in the community, like helping with health and different things. Because, one of the issues is when a population comes in and they're not native English speakers, some services are harder to deliver. So, like, medical, like, if you're going into the doctor, you need to be able to tell them what's wrong.
Of course.
And so needing to, like, beef up your translator services, and also just staffing, because it's going to take more time to do anything. And so the lines will be longer and all these different things. So these are some of the growing pains that happen because of someone coming in with a different language skill and cultural differences. So we needed to build up our infrastructure to accommodate that. And so the private donations are helping, including ours, but also the government. I think the state government has helped, and we're working on getting more support from the federal government too, so that, the resources that need to be here
to support,
to ramp it up, and to integrate people are actually available. But like I said, it's a growth story. This is like, it's more than paying for itself when it comes to the fact that the economy has grown and there are more jobs available, there's more money in the city for people to buy homes and rent homes and come to restaurants.
And it enriches the city.
Go to the grocery store. Like, it just grows the whole economy for everybody. And so, so we have to spend some money to accommodate and integrate people, but it's worth it.
I hope anybody that watches this and feels like they want to be able a force in their community to do the research, to be present, to speak to the leaders.
Be present, that's a good one too. Brian Stevenson, he's a big activist in the criminal justice world. He always talks about proximity. That means, like, actually getting close to the folks you're talking about,
of course.
working with.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, that means visiting prisons and jails and juvenile detention centers, going to places, and actually being in there.
You don't just talk about it in a book.
Yeah.
Or something you saw on
Don't
TV.
just read about
You're
it.
present.
Like, actually, like, feel the pulse of it. You know, get in it. And I feel like that's important for all of us too.
No, I think that's so incredible. That's incredible. And then with the music, did you have any familiarity with konpa before we had?
Not very familiar. Yeah. How would you describe it as a genre?
So konpa is originally, right, with the conversation with New Orleans comes into this as well. As jazz was being developed, there were different types of genres that were percolating in the Caribbean and Haiti and Cuba and in America. So you had blues and jazz and merengue and these different genres. So Haiti had merengue. And merengue, eventually in the 1950s, there was a very famous artist in Haiti called Joumou, Batista. He became the founder. He invented this genre called konpa. And it was called konpa direct. So he was a maestro. That was his nickname. It became now maestro is like the head of a band in Haiti. That's like how you call a band member. But he infused elements of jazz, elements of merengue, elements of different things happening around the world, West African rhythms with some of the orchestration from Europe, some of the indigenous sounds, and konpa is the result of it, and it's very romantic.
So I think most people's most like well-known Haitian artist is Wyclef. When you look at his career and like the Carnival and some of the albums he's done, how much has he integrated kompa into his work?
In a big way, and I'm really grateful Wyclef's become a good friend and a mentor, and I think that in his journey, he always looked at konpa as the foundation, and the church too. It was a really big part of his life. So he had these elements that he wanted to make sure he wanted Haiti to be seen. So in the career path of Wyclef Jean, the artist, the Fugees, of course, the idea of konpa always being present, even if it was very subtle with the guitar riff, or maybe it was like in some of the rhythms. He was a big pioneer.
I played that Carnival album out.
It's incredible.
It's such a great. If you listen to it now, it really holds up. It holds up so well.
So and that's so cool that you had that experience, even if it's more subtly with konpa.
We actually made music together.
No way.
We did a remix of So High. He produced it, and Lauren guested on it.
Amazing.
And did a verse and a duet with me.
Amazing.
So
shout out Wyclef.
Yeah, that was my favorite moment with him. We've written together since then too, and Jerry and the whole crew.
He's come out to my block party a bunch of times.
So what is this?
This cremas is alcoholic drink.
Okay.
But very sweet.
Okay.
So it's like an after dinner.
Yeah.
Take a sip. One of the most delicious sweet drinks.
And is there cream in there?
It's made with cream as well.
It smells like cinnamon or like nutmeg or something.
It has nutmeg, cinnamon, a little bit of cream. You got all the flavors.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. It's almost like the cream you'd put on a drink. Except
and it's strong.
It is.
Got some punch.
2 sips and you're having
a
party.
It's like almost like an eggnog with rum.
It is. That's exactly it.
It's creamier though.
I'm so happy that we could do this, man. It was a really
I love
special
it.
moment together.
I'm gonna come back here. I know that.
Was good to shout out for the moment.
And I just think it's so cool for Springfield. Like, this makes Springfield cooler. Like, come on.
I also think I'm happy I got to visit. You know, like I think this was such a great reason to come and see where you grew up and get to experience your hometown.
Yeah, man, this is truly like this is the heart of it.
So
there she is.
Vous venu tout, woman. Nous te vraiment yo. Qui là nous venu dans Springfield?
Moi-même, moi venu dans Springfield en 2016.
So she arrived in 2016.
Oh, okay. So
Pour compte ou bien avec famille?
Non, moi pour continuer.
By herself.
Okay.
Et vous te connaissez ou t'as ouvert un restaurant ou bien son va qui arriver après?
And why did you come?
Non, moi j'étais toujours connais faire ça tout côté me passer. Je toujours aimé faire manger.
OK. Et pour qui ça a choisi Springfield? C'est ça le demandé.
Bon, parce que je viens dans la zone là, moi ouais, te gain en pile monde, gain monde qui pas gain temps pour yo faire manger. Yo toujours demandé me service faire manger pour yo. Yo aimé manger me faire et puis me tout profiter penser mettre un restaurant.
So she always loved to make food, even when she was in Haiti. And she had heard that in Springfield, there were people that didn't have the time to cook. And so she chose to come here in order to provide the service and to make the food.
And how long has the restaurant been here?
Qui l'a ouvert le restaurant?
Restaurant ouvert 29 juillet 2023.
So the 29th of July, 2023.
Oh, so it's brand new.
It's brand new.
And
And
so
this is the
what-
manager of the
Oh,
restaurant. so,
amazing.
yeah.
So you were here 7 years prior to opening.
Ou t'es là 7 ans avant d'ouvrir le restaurant?
Oui, j'étais là avant, mais ce qui passe, moi, pas. Et problème de venir, je ne parle pas l'anglais.
She didn't speak English, so it's complicated for her.
C'est espagnol, je parle.
And she speaks Spanish.
Ah,
Je devais rencontrer Roman.
And she met with Roman.
Quand il y a Roman parle anglais, moi-même parle espagnol.
Ok.
Quand il y a nous mettons en tête nous ensemble, nous juste choisi pour nous mettre business en campé.
Bon bagage. So they met while she was here, and because he spoke English, she spoke Spanish, and they both spoke Creole. She felt she had what she needed to be able to open the restaurant.
okay. Amazing. Well, the food is just magnificent.
Et manger tellement bon, bien manger, bien goûter tout bail. Et qui j'en ressenti aujourd'hui?
Je me sens content, je me sens fière d'avoir que nous jeunes venir supporter moi, nous venir accompagner là. Je me sens bon, je me sens bien, je me sens fière de moi.
She said she's so proud and she's so happy today that we came and had this meal with her.
Thank you.
Après, et nous espérons avec ça, toi, avec vidéo ça, pour tout le monde qui a regardé, qui va venir visiter le restaurant Rose Goûter.
Ok.
Donc, venir manger haïtien. Et bon travail qu'on a fait, on a continué à courir nous.
Ok.
Merci un peu.
Ok.
And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.